A lot of people struggle with the problem of learning. Many people, I see many people in school learn the wrong way, and many people want to know how to study less and learn more. From a guy who is, you can see a nerd, because I get uh, some of the highest mark in class. So if you, from a guy who is a nerd, can learn a lot of things. And in today's video, I'm gonna show you how I got to learn less, learn in less time, study in less time, and learn more, and have some of the highest marks in the class without spending much time in studying. So first of all, what you should know is that there is two types of successful learners. They are hardcore learners, and what I mean by that is that they are type of learners that seem to be they. If you look at their face, they are nerd typically. They study in too much hours. They they do what I call it mass learning, is that they study too much subjects in the same time, and don't organize their thing, and they are anxious learners. They are too much afraid of exams and marks, and they are slaves of marks. And when they are in the exams, they are too much anxious, and they are too much like stressful for nothing. And I was being this type of person, the hardcore learner. I get high marks, but it's always terrible for my health, my physical health, my mental health, and it doesn't seem enjoying. It seems stressful. And there is the other type of learners, which is the smart learners. They are the learners who don't study too much hour and implement their learning in interval intervals of times. So they organize their time and enjoy their learning, and marks are slaves of them. They are not the slaves of marks. Marks come to them. They not seek marks. Marks seeks them, and they are almost like a glitch. You probably seen one of this type in school. They are the people who don't seem like nerd. They are social. They are like funny. They are like normal. Uh, Not normal, because normal people are not social. But they seem like friendly, and they don't seem like the type of people that get high marks. But when you look at their mark, you are like, how can this person get high marks like this? How this is possible? And when you hear them, you're not like hearing like, oh, I study like so much hour. They seem like that. They say like just it's my genetics. I think I'm just like good at studying. I don't study like too much hour, and you see them always in Instagram, so they have proof. But like you have good marks. So from what I say right now, from what I saw, at I saw, yes, from what from what I saw right now, you probably want to be a smart learner. Who want to be a hardcore learner? So, who to be a smart learner? This is the question that you should ask. Who to be a smart learner? And first of all, not first of all, but you know, there is two levels of study or two levels of learning. They are the basic and the first type of learning, who is to master the subject. First of all, you need to master the subject that you want to have good mark in it. You should master the subjects by, for example, in math you should know the formulas, you should know equations, the type of equations, you should know how, when to apply them and how to apply them, and the type of, like, because in math there are type of problem that like repeat themselves, but the variable don't repeat, but the form of the problem repeats itself in multiple exercise, and you need to know this type of problems and type of formulas, because there are there are there are certain questions that have certain formulas you can apply to them. It's not about smartness. It's about you do equations a lot of times to the point that you remember how to apply this formula in certain, like, questions or problems. And this is the first type, is to master the formulas, is to master the type of questions and how you can apply formulas in this type of questions. And there is the second type of studying, is the glitch one, is the cheat code. It's and how can it be? So it is to apply the basics that you have learned in the past years in the subject that you want to learn. And when you have mastered the basics that you have learned past in the several years, you're gonna notice that everything is put in place, everything seems logic, and you also need to be a good analyzer. So you need to analyze the question, because they are in exams, there are questions who doesn't like who doesn't seem to be normal. They are questions who are not like normal, they are out of normal. Teachers put this type of questions to separate the smart learner from the hardcore learner. It might be like two questions in the exam or something like that. And this type of questions demand analyzing, demand logic, demand the basics. If you don't have the basics, you are just like everything don't seem logic to you. You might see these equations and check what the fuck is this equation, what is this. And when you have the basics, everything seems logic, and you need to apply logic, you need to apply your analyzing, you need to use your your brain need to your brain need to work. Yeah. And I think that, yeah, to be a smart learner, you need to apply the second rule or the second level of studying. Is to master the basics that you have learned. And some of the protocols that I can give you is to have a calendar, an organized calendar. Um so who can you is basics is just to go to Google Calendar, create an account, and make the calendar, and make the calendar. So for example, the most important basic things like school hours and etc. And in your free time, just organize it so it can be an so you study in intervals. Not typically you have massive like learning. Massive learning is like this type of like there is 2 days before the exams. In this 2 days you like revise all the thing. It's gonna fucked up your brain and your health, your mental health, your mental health. And so what you're gonna do is to like so lessons. For example, in math, I'm gonna like put I put it like a lot of example of math because I'm genius in math. So you I might not seem like very genius, but I'm genius. I have the some of the highest marks in class, so I must be a genius in math. So what you're gonna do is to like the lessons in math, they are in chapters. For example, uh, this might sound overwhelming, but in functions, they are like they are the what is called Moi, they are like they are the parity. I don't know if this word exists because we study in French here in Morocco. I can't translate this shit. In functions, you study like parity. It's if the function is ampere or pair, they are like this is a chapter, and they are chapters who you study like these functions. This like the presentation of functions in like they are parables and hyperbole. There are a lot of things that it sounds overwhelming and I can't explain it because it's so complex. I can't explain it in simple words. But like what you should know is that, for example, in mathematics or physics, the lessons is like organized in chapters, and when you for example in a like uh, in a science of 2 hours or 4 hours, the teacher gonna teach you a chapter, one chapter, and when you go home you study this chapter. And this is for the first basic basic one is to master the subjects is by learning by chapters. You learn the chapters, you you comprehend it, and you do exercise in it to master the formulas and etc. And for the basics that you have learned in the, you start to like you start to view like this more complex like problems, and so you basically need to make problems, you need to solve problems, and you need to revise, like for example in like summer vacations, you need to revise the basics that you have learned in the past, and you need to have interest in the subject, because when you don't have interest in the subject, you are not going to be curious to know. And I think that I shared like the basics things that you need to learn in studying. So in a conclusion, there are two types of learners. There are hardcore learners who study too much, basically the nerds, and the smart learners who don't seem nerd but they have a high marks. And to be a good learner, you need to first of all master master the formulas in the in the in the like in the subject that you want to learn. Master the subject, and the second thing is to master the basics. The order must be to master the basics first, but and the second thing is to master the formulas that you study right now. But mastering the basics needs a lot of time. You need to revise what you have learned in the past years. Like when you do an exam in maths or physics, you don't do the exams because most of people think that they do the exams in the type in the particular lessons that they have learned this year. No, it's not like that. When you do an exam in in math, you do it so that the teacher can can like can test you in what you have learned in this year, in the past year. So when you do an exam, every single exam in math or physics or the scientific subjects, you study what you have learned from the past years. This is always and this applies beautifully in literature, because in literature if you don't have the vocabulary, you don't have for example the teacher, when you do a shit like uh, like paragraph, or you write a shit paragraph, the teacher told you that you don't have the basics, you don't have the vocabulary, you don't conjugate the verbs in the right form. So for like literary subjects and scientific subjects, you need to have the basics. Master the basics take a lot of time, and you don't have time, so you need first to master what you are learning right now, because when you master that, you're gonna have like high marks, you know. But if you want to like reduce your time and etc., you need to master the basics that you have learned in the overpass. And I'm right now in this type of learning, who is to like master the basics. I have a pretty good damn basics, but I need to master them. Like in this summer, I'm gonna revise like all the programs from what I learned from when I have 6 years old to until now. So I have talked a lot in this video, and I'm certain that you have learned something or a lot of things in this video. And I think of doing a course or something like that, and about this subject. So let me know if you want a course, if you want like a live call that is like with money, of course. How can I make money? I like I'm not making. I want to make money, bro. Like, so if you want a course, or if you find it, if you find that it's interesting, and you want a course in this subject, let me know, or drop some comments that, or some questions that you wanted me to answer, or something like that. And yeah, this is all I got in this video, and I hope to see you the next time.